When Sheldon re-enters the picture in Georgie and Mandy's first marriage, it's not loud. It's not explosive. But it is disruptive. And that disruption has the potential to quietly destabilize everything Georgie and Mandy have been trying to build. Because here's the truth. Stability in a young marriage is fragile. It's built on routine, trust, and a shared sense of direction. And Sheldon, brilliant, literal, hyper-analytical Sheldon, doesn't just enter rooms. He shifts the emotional temperature of them. We've seen throughout Young Sheldon how growing up alongside a genius shaped Georgie. He wasn't the academic star. He wasn't the golden child. He was the brother who had to carve out identity the hard way. That history doesn't disappear just because he's older and married. It lingers. It lives in subtle insecurities. It shows up when he feels underestimated. So when Sheldon returns into Georgie's adult life, even briefly, it reactivates that old dynamic. Sheldon doesn't criticize emotionally. He critiques logically. If Georgie makes a business decision that carries risk, Sheldon will dissect it. If Georgie handles a parenting situation imperfectly, Sheldon will point out the inefficiency. Not to hurt him, but because that's how his brain works. The problem is, logic without emotional awareness can feel like judgment. And in a marriage already balancing financial pressure and maturity gaps, that judgment hits harder. For Mandy, Sheldon represents a different kind of challenge. She didn't grow up adapting to his quirks. She doesn't have years of emotional calluses built up to handle his bluntness. So when Sheldon questions their choices, how they budget, how they organize their household, how they communicate, Mandy might not see it as harmless analysis. She might see it as interference. That's where the real damage begins. Because now Georgie is in the middle. If he defends Sheldon, Mandy feels unsupported. If he shuts Sheldon down, he risks reopening sibling tension. Either way, he's forced to choose sides in moments where unity matters most. Marriage requires a united front. Sheldon's presence tests that unity. There's also the issue of comparison. Sheldon's academic success and intellectual clarity stand in stark contrast to Georgie's hands-on, trial-and-error approach to life. Even if no one says it out loud, that contrast can create silent pressure. Georgie may start second-guessing himself. Mandy may start wondering whether some of Sheldon's critiques are valid. Doubt is subtle. It doesn't explode. It seeps. And once doubt enters the equation, stability weakens. Sheldon's return could also unintentionally highlight cracks that were already there. If Georgie and Mandy disagree about finances, Sheldon's hyper-focus on numbers amplifies it. If they struggle with communication, Sheldon's literal interpretations make emotional nuance harder. He doesn't create the problems, but he exposes them. That exposure is uncomfortable. What makes this dynamic compelling is that Sheldon isn't malicious. He genuinely believes he's helping by optimizing, correcting, clarifying. But marriage isn't a math equation. It's emotional negotiation. It's compromise. It's tone. Sheldon's precision doesn't translate well into that space. And yet, there's another layer here. Sheldon's return doesn't just threaten stability, it offers an opportunity for growth. If Georgie learns to set boundaries with confidence, that's maturity. If Mandy and Georgie communicate privately before responding publicly, that's partnership. If they handle Sheldon as a team instead of reacting individually, they come out stronger. But if they don't, if Georgie reverts into defensive insecurity and Mandy feels isolated, then Sheldon's presence becomes a catalyst for deeper fractures. The key issue is identity. Georgie has worked hard to step out of his brother's shadow. Marriage gave him a new role: provider, husband, father. Sheldon's return risks shrinking him back into the less accomplished brother. If Georgie internalizes that shift, his confidence dips. And when confidence dips, decision-making suffers. Communication tightens. Pride increases. That ripple effect lands directly in the marriage. In many ways, Sheldon represents Georgie's past. Mandy represents his future. Stability depends on Georgie reconciling those two worlds without letting one overpower the other. And that's why Sheldon's return feels so destabilizing. Not because he's trying to destroy anything, but because he reminds Georgie of who he used to be and challenges who he's trying to become. If Georgie and Mandy can withstand that reminder, their foundation holds. If they can't, Sheldon doesn't have to actively destroy anything. The imbalance does the work on its own. In the end, Sheldon's return isn't just a guest appearance. It's a pressure test, a mirror, a stress fracture check. And in a young marriage, even the smallest shifts can shake the ground beneath it.